Let's jump right in. Today, we're opening up Volume 15 of the ancient Mahaparinirvana Sutra. This is just an incredibly profound text, and we're going to explore a deeply practical, step-by-step blueprint it gives us for spiritual growth. We are looking directly at the core of what the text calls Bodhisattva Brahma conduct, which is essentially the highest, most purified way of living and relating to the world, centered entirely around the four immusables. Think of it as an ancient, highly specific guide on how to literally rewire the human mind. Okay, let's dive into this. The sutra hits us with this incredible question right out of the gate. Why is it that our anger feels so permanent? Like carving a deep line into solid stone, while our compassion is often so fragile, fading away as quickly as a line drawn on the surface of water. It perfectly captures this universal human struggle, right? Well, the rest of this explainer is dedicated to exactly how the Buddha says we can flip that script. And what's the absolute foundation for reversing that cycle? The text is completely unequivocal here. It doesn't matter where someone is on their spiritual journey, whether they're just starting out or they're a dedicated bodhisattva or even a fully awakened Buddha. Loving kindness is the root. It's the soil that every other good quality grows from. You absolutely cannot skip this step. Section 1. Exploring Bodhisattva Brahma conduct. To truly understand how this path of loving kindness works, we first need to look at the foundational behavior required to even begin cultivating this kind of boundless compassion. So the crucial point is that a practitioner doesn't just blindly leap into cosmic compassion. The text actually outlines these 7 good dharmas as strict prerequisites for Brahma conduct. You have to know the teachings, deeply understand their true meaning, know the proper time for action, practice absolute contentment with your physical needs, truly know your own mind, understand the people you're with, and be able to discern different levels of spiritual truth. Basically, you have to be completely grounded first. Section 2. What are the 4 immeasurables? Once that groundwork is laid, the practitioner is ready for the core of the practice: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. But the sutra doesn't just expect us to blindly accept this list. It uses this great Socratic dialogue to test these ideas. The Bodhisattva Kashyapa raises a highly logical doubt. He essentially asks the Buddha, wait, if both loving kindness and compassion serve to eliminate anger, why do we need 4 categories? Aren't those 2 basically doing the exact same job? Shouldn't there just be 3 immeasurables? It's a brilliant question, and it demands a precise answer. And this brilliantly illustrates the Buddha's precise understanding of the human mind. He responds by breaking human anger down into specific types. Loving kindness, he says, is the specific antidote to the most extreme form of anger, the anger that seeks to end life. Compassion, on the other hand, is the antidote to the anger that seeks to beat, punish, or harm. So by separating them out, the Buddha is showing us that different forms of these immeasurables actually target very specific, nuanced variations of our hostility. Section 3. Steps to practice loving kindness. Now that we understand the theory and the true meaning, the sutra shifts into a highly practical, step-by-step mental training regimen. This is literally a progressive mental workout. First, you start with people you already like. You categorize them into 3 grades, and you actively work to wish them all equal, boundless joy. Easy enough, right? But then it gets harder. Step 2, you bring to mind a minor enemy, someone who just really annoys you, and you practice wishing them that exact same joy. Finally, step 3, you focus on your supreme enemy, the person who has wronged you the absolute most, and you train your mind until you can genuinely wish them the exact same highest joy that you'd wish for your own parents. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how honest the sutra is about the difficulty. The Buddha doesn't pretend this is a walk in the park. He uses these vivid, almost brutal metaphors. Anger is like a fierce guard dog that refuses to leave your house. It's permanent, like drawing on stone. Compassion is fragile, like drawing on water, and as easily frightens away as a startled wild deer. So, equalizing your love for your parents and your worst enemy, that requires taming that guard dog and coaxing that wild deer to stay put. Section 4. Giving and Supreme Vows. So, what happens when you successfully cultivate this internal state? Well, this internal loving kindness has to translate into external action, specifically through giving. The giving as a bodhisattva is a whole different ballgame from ordinary charity. The text uses the famous paradigm of the poisoned arrow. If someone is shot with a poisoned arrow, a doctor doesn't stop to ask about the social status of the person who shot it, or what kind of wood the arrow was made of. They just pull it out. Similarly, true giving requires zero discrimination. You don't sit around analyzing if the recipient is worthy or not. You just give to relieve their suffering. And here's where it gets truly mind-bending. The physical act of giving is instantly paired with a massive cosmic internal vow. When a bodhisattva gives ordinary food, they internally vow that all beings will receive the food of great wisdom. A drink of water becomes a vow that all beings will drink from the river of the Mahayana. Giving clothing becomes a wish that all beings receive a healthy, moral conscience, and ultimately a radiant golden body. The rhythm and scale of these vows are just breathtaking. Giving a physical vehicle becomes a vow for universal enlightenment. Offering flowers or incense, that's a wish that all beings hold perfect moral precepts. Providing a bed translates into a wish for deep meditative stability. Giving shelter is a vow for everyone to reach the ultimate safety of nirvana. And lighting a simple lamp becomes a prayer for the Buddha's absolute wisdom to shatter the darkness of ignorance for everyone. The mundane literally transforms into the profoundly cosmic. Section 5. Ultimate form of compassion. We are now arriving at the absolute highest philosophical revelation of the sutra. Let's see how this builds into what the text calls great compassion. The sutra actively contrasts ordinary compassion with bodhisattva compassion. Ordinary compassion is based on seeing the suffering of the world and feeling pity, but great compassion completely transcends that. It realizes the inherent Buddha nature in every single being. It acts entirely without any attachment to the idea of a giver or a receiver, viewing all phenomena as perfectly intrinsically equal. The absolute peak of this is defined as great loving kindness. According to the text, you only achieve this when you can look upon an ishchantika, which is basically the term for someone of the most extreme, unrepentant evil, without a single microscopic trace of anger. True realization allows the practitioner to look right at pure malice with unbroken, unshakable peace. And that brings us to this staggering mic drop conclusion from the Buddha. He states that this ultimate compassion isn't just a nice, warm feeling you cultivate. Compassion is the Buddha nature. Compassion is the Tathagata. It is the ultimate truth of the enlightened mind. Compassion is the great emptiness. The text ties those practical, step-by-step mental workouts we talked about directly to the ultimate fabric of reality itself. To practice this is to align yourself with the true nature of the universe. We've covered a massive journey today, from the stubborn, stone-like nature of human anger to the cosmic vows of giving, all the way to the ultimate emptiness of great compassion. So I want to leave you with this final thought based on everything we've unpacked. If true, profound compassion requires completely letting go of your attachment to yourself as the giver, to the physical gift itself, and to your judgment of the receiver, how will you practice your very next act of kindness? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating text with me today. Keep asking questions and keep learning.